What is going on, guys? We are back playing some more Surviving with RFTools. And today, guys, we are going to be discussing wireless storage, but we're actually going to be using it in conjunction with what we worked on last episode, which is in front of me right now in case you did not see last episode. It is a fully automated tree farm. Now, unfortunately, the fully automated portion is not incorporated into it yet, and that is what we're going to be using the wireless storage for today. So cue me doing a little bit of rambling before we get into everything. The reason that we need to use wireless storage, and I believe I mentioned this a little bit before in the last episode, is because most mod packs would be very simple. You'd just be able to pipe things from one of these storage systems or whatever chest you have on top of it into the other, do some filtering so that saplings go into one, the wood goes into a different one, you can put it into a furnace, get the charcoal out, turn that into power, and boom, you have everything solved in a 3x3 area. Unfortunately for us, we do not have a piping system, which is very odd for a mod, but unfortunately RFTools does not have one, and so the way that we are going to work around this is by making an extremely convoluted and funny looking setup, which we can expand upon later, and I'll talk about that in a bit, but it's going to be a very weird setup that uses a lot of resources to basically make one furnace fully automated to cook down our wood into charcoal, put the charcoal back into itself, and whatever excess charcoal we get is going to go into this coal generator, and it's going to power our system. Now, something to keep in mind, and this doesn't really relate to wireless storage, so if you're only here for that, I apologize for all this rambling going on beforehand, but we can expand upon this very easily, and so whatever we set up today is all we are going to need for wireless storage. After that, we can basically use a minecart system that will deposit through hoppers into a bunch of different furnaces and essentially just do a linear expansion of the system, and that's what we'll do eventually when we try and get more power out of this, but the system should be able to function and get us a net positive return on charcoal. I guess in the end, technically it'd be wood that turns into charcoal for the power invested. So it's really just a proof of concept today and to show how wireless storage works, but in the end, it will all function properly. So now we get to go do some crafting. There is a lot of stuff we need to craft today, so I went ahead and did some that we've already done. So we're going to have 3 hoppers that actually stay as hoppers. We're going to have a furnace, of course, and then we're going to have 5 modular storage. Now, we've crafted these once before, but we essentially use them as just a regular storage system. Nothing too fancy. So what we're going to have to do is then make something that's going to connect all of these together, and that is going to be the remote storage block. The nice thing about this is that we are going to be able to make a tier 3 storage module, which will give us 300 stacks that can go into these, and because they are all linked, we only need to make one of those, but we do need to make a bunch of remote storage module cards to put in all of these. So I'm hoping that I have enough ender pearls. I think I do. I hope I do. These were a little bit of a pain in the butt to get. I did upgrade my weapon and stuff to get them, but I managed to, and so not a huge issue. So we're going to be setting that up, and other than that, we're going to use some filter cards today, and that's really going to be it. So first things first, we're going to craft through all the different tier storage modules. So we're going to make the first one, and then we're going to make the second one, and we got to put this back in there. It should register that we have it there now. Yep. And then we're going to make the third one. And we don't have a block of redstone. Okay, so got to make that real quick. And I don't have any place to replace the recipes. So we're going to come over here and make a block of redstone real quick. Dump it back in there. And there we go. So we've got our tier 3 storage module. This one's very nice. We got 300 stacks. So we essentially will be able to put everything we want. We'll have the saplings going into this. We'll have the wood, the excess charcoal. Everything is going to be going into this, and eventually we may need to kind of shift the storage setup when we really get things cooking in here, but for the time being, this is going to be more than sufficient for what we need. I have an extra coal generator on the off chance that we need one, but I don't think we will. And then the next thing is we're going to be making a bunch of filters. It occurred to me now, though, that I only have 2 pieces of paper, so I think that's the best that we're going to get for now, which is actually unfortunate, but I think we can work with this. I don't think I have any nearby sugarcane. I should have planted. I did the greedy thing, and I don't know if you guys know about this, or you guys do this too. Do we have any nearby sugarcane? No, we don't. reeds, sugarcane, whatever you want to call it. But it's when, let's say you need 15 and you get 15. The smart thing to do would be to plant some of those so that they can grow and just wait. But for me, I was like, nah, let's just use all 15. So we'll be able to set this up with the limited amount of filters today. So it won't be a huge issue. But yeah, so we got the filter cards. Now we need to make a machine block because we need to make one remote storage module. Now, if you're curious how the remote storage, not module, but the remote storage itself works, is essentially this is going to be the linking portion for as many of these modular storage as you want. So we need one of these, and then it can sort of expand with as many modular storages as you want. So we are going to craft one of those and disappeared. Oh, it's my inventory. So we have that, and I believe that that is essentially everything. We got to grab some hoppers out of here. I almost want to say that that's everything. We're going to grab some charcoal out of here. We'll grab some wood out of here. We should get some saplings just for setting up all the filters and everything. But I want to say that that's pretty much everything that we're going to need for this. Other than the remote storage modules. So we're going to click those in there. And then we technically, so we were only able to make, why does it say we're missing some? It says we're missing ender pearls. Oh, to make 4. So we want to make technically 5 of these. So there we go. We got our 5. Thankfully, we have 1 extra ender pearl. Wasn't sure if we'd have enough, but now we should be good to go. So we'll sleep, we'll head outside, and we'll set this thing up. And like I said, I know it's convoluted. And if you guys have any improvements that you want to suggest in the comments, that would be phenomenal. But I think we're going to set it up right over here. So we'll put it right next to this whole system, just so that we can keep it nearby. And we actually already have a bunch of these, so I don't think we needed 5 modular storage. I think we need 3, because I already have some on top here ready to go. But what we're going to do is start out by putting the furnace down, and we want to make sure we position this in a way, I should have grabbed some dirt, honestly, but we want to position this in a way that we can account for the fact that we need hoppers to go under it. So get some dirt so I can work with that. So we want to be able to put a hopper under it. Do we want to inline with this system? No, we'll put it right here like this because it's going to have to come out one. So we want to be able to put a hopper under it and then have a modular storage right here. And then we want to be able to put a hopper behind it. So let's start setting these up. So hopper there, and hopper there. And we want this back there. And just for the sake of it facing properly, we want that up there. Okay, so just kind of to go over why we need all these different things is because there's really no good way to sort of redirect things here. So with hoppers, at least in a convenient way. So we have one that's going to deposit the charcoal in here to actually cook stuff. We've got one that's going to put the wood in there to be cooked into charcoal. And then we've got one that's going to filter the charcoal out of the bottom and put it back into the system. And so technically the charcoal is going to be going in a loop through these, and it's going to net have a positive gain of charcoal. And so slowly it'll fill up with a backup and a backup. And then finally there will be charcoal that can be dumped into the generator, and that will bring power back to the system. So we'll have to supplement it a little bit at the beginning. But obviously we've got a ton of wood that we can cook down in here, and I haven't even put a stack of charcoal in here for it to use. So just something to keep in mind. So another thing that we need to do is put down the remote storage system, and this requires power. So we're going to put this down over here next to our power storage. And something I've noticed is for some reason the power does not get evenly split. I don't know why that's a thing, but it doesn't get evenly split. So look at these. These aren't getting any power right now, but it's set to output power to them. So I don't know why that's a thing, and it kind of bothers me. Just because technically it should evenly output to every side, but clearly it's prioritizing north. So I assume it would go north and then it would go east if we're going to have it run that way. I don't really know if there's a great way to test that. But the problem is this isn't getting any power. So I'm hoping there's a way that we can work around that. But we can at least, I think, start setting this up and then maybe fiddle with stuff later. But what we need to do is take the tier 3 storage module and put it in here. And so this will only, or you're going to want to put it over here. You can kind of see it matches up. This one matches up with this, and this one matches up with this. So this can house 4 different storage modules. And to make sense of that, it's basically this storage module can be put in here and then connected to as many remote or modular storage systems as you want using the remote storage module. So essentially you put this in here and it says, and then if you click this in here, it says content ID 1. You need to put this in here for it to get that, but it says content ID 1, and then this says remote ID 1. So then you can take this out and it keeps remote ID 1. Now, if we were to take another one, we can slap that in there, and again, it will say remote ID 1. So now both of these are linked to this tier 3 storage module. So if we were to come up here and we can take the spruce sapling out of here and take this tier 1 storage module out, and now it's linked to nothing. But then we can replace this tier 1 storage module card with the remote storage module, and it's going to link us to this. Now it needs to have power before we can put anything in there. So it looks like there's no open slots in there right now. And we'll do the same thing over here. We're going to have to grab literally everything out, and we don't even have enough inventory room. But we're going to grab this card out of here, and I wanted to make sure we got it out in time. But then we are going to put the remote storage module in there. And again, it's connected to remote ID 1, which is what we want. And now is a perfect time for us to break out the next coal generator, because honestly, this system not functioning is kind of annoying me. So we're going to make it function, and we're going to get this some power. Now, it doesn't use much power to keep it going, so this will fill up very, very fast, and it'll stay there, which is fine. But you can see now that these are functioning. They have 1 out of 300 because they are connected to this tier 3 storage module in here. So essentially, you put one in here on the left side of it, and then you're going to take the remote storage modules and you're going to drag and drop them in. Now you could put, if you wanted this tier 1 storage module in here, and then you could connect a bunch of stuff to that too. So each of these remote storage blocks is going to be able to house 4 different storage modules, which can then be connected to as many modular storage blocks as you want. So for us, we're only going to really use one right now, but eventually if we wanted to set up a second one and a third one, we could continue using this one. That way you don't have to constantly make new ones. You can house 4 of them. But as you can see now, we can dump everything back into this, and it will be able to connect to everything in our system, which is great. And now this is kind of when we can start using our filters. So for this one, we are going to make a filter for the saplings, because we want to make sure that it only is going to plant saplings. So we're going to put spruce saplings here, and we're going to put those on the white listing of items. And so just to check, so then what we can do is put it in there, and it got a little bit messed up, it looked like, down here, but it should clear these out, I believe. It gets a little bit messed up the minute you take that filter card out, and so I think it replanted them incorrectly. So then if we throw these in there, I think it should eventually replace these. I had this issue when I was testing it out. The problem really is that this needs to get more power and make its way through those blocks. So eventually these will get chopped down, and then they will be only replaced with these spruce saplings because we have this filter here. Now, the very weird thing that I found is that the filter, I think, can be put in either of these. I'm pretty sure here if we put the filter in, it would only allow it to plant the saplings, and I'm pretty sure here putting the filter in only allows the saplings to be pulled from this. So that's kind of the weird part. But in this one, of course, we have the filter down here saying that it can only chop down wood and not saplings. But let's test this out. Let's break this, and it should plant the sapling back in its place. So eventually all these will get cut down, and they will have a sapling put back down in their place. So that's working fine. Now it's time to get the rest of the setup to function so that we can actually get some extra power going to this. And I think, yeah, so we need some more charcoal in there. So now it's time for us to actually get this system running. So we'll put the charcoal in there, and it'll slowly chop down trees, even though this is sucking up literally all the power, which is why we need way more of these generators to function. But yeah, you can see that it's cutting down this wood down here and replacing it. So by putting that filter in, we're able to make it so that it's only able to pull out of this the saplings. So then we can come over here, and with this setup, I'd like to use filters, but we don't necessarily need filters because we can just use a sort of backup to make sure that nothing incorrect goes in there. Because of course saplings could go in as fuel sources and stuff like that, and we don't want that to happen. So what we can do is come over and grab out a bunch of stacks of spruce wood, and we got to come over here and get all of our remote storage set to ID 1. So we'll get all 3 of these set to ID 1. And then we're going to go up here, and before we do anything, we're going to put all this spruce wood in here. And we'll click a bunch of spruce wood in here. And then we're going to come up here and we can throw in the remote ID 1 remote storage module. And what that will do is it'll allow the spruce wood to come out of here. And we could use a filter on this if we wanted to. But the reason we don't need to is because, and eventually I will put one in there, but I need to go get some more. I feel like they should be over there, but that's not really the biome they would spawn in. I really do want to get more paper, so I want more sugarcane, just because it's going to bother me to kind of like leave this partially completed, but I looked around a lot before, and I did not find any. Yeah, okay, so probably what I'm going to do is just plant this right here, so that I can fix that up later. But yeah, so this one should be fine, because it'll go out one at a time, and it'll fill up one at a time, and then we can come back here, and this one is going to be charcoal. And so we kind of want to make sure that we have charcoal as the only thing going in there, which is a little bit awkward. So I am going to steal some of this charcoal out there and put it in here because we need stuff to start cooking down. And I think in here we have some coal we can grab, but I think other than that, we're out of charcoal. Yeah, so I should have been making more off camera because we have all this wood to work with, but I'm going to throw regular coal in here and regular coal in here for the time being, and we will put the charcoal in here, and then eventually we could make a backup in here too, but what I'm going to do is make a filter just because we don't need it for any of the other ones. The bottom one isn't going to need a filter because the charcoal is going to come out and go straight in here, so we can just throw the remote ID in here. That's not going to be an issue because the only thing that's going to be coming out of here is charcoal. So that'll get fed back into the system, and then up here we're going to take this filter, we're going to set it to whitelist, we're going to put it on charcoal, and then just double check, and then slap it into this system, and then put this in here. So I believe the only thing that it should be able to pull out is charcoal. So if we were to check, we can throw the 4 charcoal in down there, and then you can see they get pulled out up there and come over here. So essentially, and this whole rambly video was to say that you can use this block right here, the remote storage block, to hook up a bunch of modular storage blocks to one modular or one storage module. Gosh, saying this stuff flips me out. You got the modular storage, the storage module, blah, ugh, my gosh, so rough. But yeah, so essentially all of these get linked to this one storage module using all of these different remote storage module cards. Okay. Made it through that sentence without totally butchering it, I think. Maybe. But yeah, so everything in this setup should actually be functioning now. The only thing that would be left to do would be to use some more modular storage blocks to hook up eventually whatever power generation setup we're using. It's a little annoying that it seems that the power only leaves this to the north first, so it would try and completely fill this up. This is the first mod that I've ever run into this issue with. I don't know if that's how it's intended to be, but yeah, so you can clearly see that it is not filling up this block right here, which is a problem. So short of having each one with its own individual generators, which may be what needs to happen, and I'll have to wait to see how much coal we have or charcoal we have coming out of this system, because it can get messed up if we're pulling too much out at a time, but we'll have to see about that. And if all of that works out, then we may have to go with 3 of these. But if you guys have any suggestions for this setup, it's very convoluted, so I feel like there has to be a slightly better way to do it. You guys may know, because honestly, It's really rough trying to mess around with this without having a piping system or anything, but I wish you the best of luck with setting yours up if you do try, and feel free to laugh at me in the comments if you're going to be able to do this using a piping system because you're using a mod pack. But I hope you guys had an awesome Christmas with family and friends and did not run into as many issues as I did attempting to install any new computer parts that you may have gotten. If you still have new computer parts to install, best of luck to you. Hopefully they're more compatible than mine were. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I will talk to you later.
Standing in a glass bowl at the end of a black hole, cold, lost and upside down. Faces swirling past me, all my memories rolling vastly.